fun things about clay is that we can do a lot of different things with the surface. And so I wanted to show you all a really fun way to alter the surface of your pipe. Now, you guys are wheel students. You can also do this if you're a hand builder. But tonight we're going to focus on the wheel. So what I'm going to be using is what's called sodium silicate. And what happens is when I put it on the clay, it's going to quickly firm up the surface. Okay, it kind of, if you know how glue works, like Elmer's glue, and when it dries, it can crackle. And that's what this is going to do to the clay. So, as I told y'all, I'm going to give each of you a nice little container of sodium silicate for you to try. And I'm going to use a foam brush to put it on. Now you can use any kind of brush, but I like using the foam brushes for this because the sodium silicate, because it does act kind of like a sticky glue, it can mess up your brushes. So I'm going to use a foam brush and also have enough for everybody to use. And I did throw this a little earlier. You can see that it's still really soft. I would like it probably to be a little firmer, but I am going to stretch it out. So it's really in a good spot to do that. So I'm going to get my wheel going, and I'm just going to begin to apply this sodium silicate while the wheel is turning. I'm just going to keep going all the way down. Alright. And I think it's applied on there pretty well. I'm just going to come back up quickly. I'm going to go all the way to the top. So you can see that it's on there. And I don't want it to be too much because it can cause my clay body to get a little mushy again, so I want to watch that. I'm just going to put this over here to the side. And before I start stretching my clay, I'm going to go ahead and trim the bottom. Now, I can still go back and do some trimming, but it's kind of like with your plate, is that I want to go ahead and trim it so that when I start to stretch out the clay, that can be my focus. And so I'm going to go ahead in here and trim up the bottom. Okay, take care of that. And I'm going to put a little bit more pressure underneath it like that. Okay. And then we're going to take this lovely little tool. Remember we did that the other day with your mugs, and I think, Catherine, you discovered how sexy that made your mug. So I'm going to come back in here, and I'm going to begin to stretch this out. So hopefully, you see what's happened to that surface? Y'all want to come up and take a peek? Whoa. It's way cool. COVID requires it. Y'all want to take it? You guys can take a little closer look. Isn't that awesome?
Whoa.
Isn't that
Does it
cool?
crack more if you let it dry more?
It could crack a little bit more. Now I'm going to put more pressure on it. This is 3 pounds of clay. So let's just see what happens, okay? I'm going to come back in and let's put a little bit more pressure and see how far I can stretch it out. Notice the wheel speed. Okay, and I'm going to come back up here and try to get this top a little better. Let's see what happens. All right. Now, I will tell you this. If the clay was a little firmer, you'd probably get larger cracks. Okay? And that's something you'll just have to experiment with. And what's fun about this is once it is bisque fired, and it will be bisque fired when we get ready to glaze, guys, I can put a stain in there. I could use copper oxide, I could use any mason stain that I want, I could use iron oxide on there, because remember this is 45 and it's going to be sort of a cream colored clay. So you want to think about what can go in those cracks to enhance it. And those are some things that, again, you just play around with. But this is a really, 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 really fun way to change your surface. Right?
You could throw it and take it off the wheel and let it sit until you throw a couple more things and put it back. Stretch it.
Yeah,
let it dry
like I can, now here's something to remember. Yeah, remember to pick up the bag. You don't want to cut it away from it because you want your piece to stay nice and centered. If you were to forget to do that, I mean, you could moisten the bottom and try to tap it on the center and put a little pressure on it and get it firm again.